Welcome to Next Level Carpentry. Since getting my first ever dust collector last fall, I've been wanting to do an update on it, and a number of viewers have asked follow-up questions. So I'll piggyback those with news of a special promotion that Harvey Industries is doing during the month of May 2019 for this G700 dust processor, as well as the release of its two new big brothers, the G800 and the G1000. I'll give details on special pricing and a shipping offer later on in this video, so be sure to watch it through and check it out. I know that saying the Gyro Air G700 is the world's quietest dust collector leaves me open to a whole rash of controversy. But I'm saying it anyways, and I'll stand by it until someone proves otherwise. This machine's 72 decibel operating level, 99.9% dust extraction rate, its compact size, along with 1100 CFM airflow at above average 18.5 inches water column of suction are the main reasons I chose it over dozens of other dust collection options out there on the market. After using this dust collection system for about 6 months, I've got some observations from the experience, not the least of which are the constant effort and logistics of setup, use, and maintenance in an effort to collect the dust rather than to just let it fly. In all the other shops I've worked in over the years without a central dust collection system, the biggest logistic hurdle was cleaning up mounds of shavings and sweeping up piles of sawdust during and after a project. Dust collection in a small but versatile shop like mine means paying attention to hose connections, blast gates, switching the machine on and off, and of course, emptying out the dust bins. I've just recently made turning my G700 on and off easier by adding Harvey's remote control switching to it. Remote control is standard on the new 2019 models, but since this machine is from 2018, I had to do the upgrade myself. It was simple to do the upgrade because although the instructions are complex, they're easy to read and they're understandable. 3 leads from the receiver need to be hooked up to designated component terminals, but everything is labeled as described in the instructions. Once leads are hooked up, a bit of reprogramming is necessary for the machine to process input from the remote. Again, following instructions for this was pretty straightforward. The first thing I did was add a couple dabs of hot melt glue to these little ferrules that hold the labeling to each of the wires coming out of the receiver. The dab of glue secures the ferrule on the wire so that they can't fall off and get the wires mixed up during the installation process. I'm a little OCD when it comes to wiring stuff like this, so I like to add a little solder to the ends of the stranded wire so that they clamp more firmly and securely in the terminal strips inside the machine. After buttoning everything up, I can now turn the machine on and off with a key fob remote, which is pretty handy. One of my initial surprises about using a dust collection system in a small shop is that 1100 CFM of rushing air causes a fair amount of ambient noise. With no experience, my main concern was always how much noise the motor itself and the impeller would make, and I never even considered how much noise or how much sound the rushing air would make. As it turns out, I can't even hear the G700 running over the sound of all that airflow through the hoses and through the machines. The crazy thing is, it's the quietest machine in the shop. I can't ever hear it running when the joiner or the table saw, much less the thickness planer, are running. And that's not the case with many, if not most, of the other dust collectors out there on the market. Most of the guys I talk to about it say the best way to handle all that extra noise is to put your collector in a separate dedicated room to mitigate the noise. For me and many others, that just isn't an option. And it's nice not to have jet engine whine going on in the shop, in addition to the sound of rushing air and woodworking machines going on all at the same time, which of course makes the quietness of this machine a real plus. I'm in the process of optimizing the flex duct setup that I showed in a previous video. There's a link here for that. But in general, what I've got going with the setup with components from air handling systems is working great. And I've put a boatload of shavings through this thing in these 6 months that I've been using it. As I already implied, no duct system at all is a lot easier than dealing with hoses and blast gates, etc. But the effort necessary to deal with all the hoses and the connections sure makes for a cleaner, safer, and healthier work environment. That's a fact. In my humble opinion, the fourth great feature of the G700, after the low noise, 99.9% dust extraction rate, and its compact size, is the fact that it has a self-cleaning filter feature. 2 ports below the filters allow you to clean out the 1/10 of the dust that gets through these chambers after the other 99.9% of the dust and shavings that enters the machine drops out of the airflow into the bins. So for self-cleaning, all you have to do is remove a cover and allow the air to recirculate while turning the filter scrubber knobs one at a time. After a few minutes in the recycle cleanout mode, 99.9% of the filter dust is now separated out in the feedback loop, which is pretty sweet. To further simplify the self-cleaning process, I just finished making this custom pant-Y cleanout manifold out of PVC pipe fittings. It has a single cleanout port at the top and quick disconnect fittings on the sides of the port mean that I can just hook up a hose to it and let the self-cleanout cycle run. Sweet as a self-licking ice cream cone, right? And I'll provide a plan and a build description for this custom pant-Y manifold that's made out of just everyday ordinary PVC pipe fittings to anyone who buys a Gyro Air Dust Processor through a link on my Next Level Carpentry shop website. So just contact me if that's you. And Greg, that includes you. As long as I'm on the subject of clean out and filters, that 99.9% dust extraction rate means that filter cleaning isn't necessary during sustained heavy use. But I've learned that it is possible to overload and to choke the machine, which can completely plug both filters and clean out ports. One way I've managed to plug the filters completely is by using my table saw without the dust processor running. A big pile of shavings builds up in the table saw cabinet. The next time I fire up the dust processor and force feed that mound of shavings, it overwhelms the system with particles that must run into each other in the gyro air chambers and prevent them from falling out into the hoppers in the airflow, so they blow all the way through and plug up the filters. The good news is it's easy enough to remedy though with this self-cleaning port feature by just hooking up the hose and running the self-cleaning feature while turning the filter scrubbing knobs in the process. After a few minutes, the dust is reprocessed, spun out at a normal rate, and the filters are clean and everything's flowing good again. But I want to make sure I clarify that that doesn't happen during normal heavy use. When I'm running the thickness planer or the joiner taking off a 3/8 inch pass, the filters all flowing at a constant rate just spin right out like they're supposed to. It's only when it's overloaded with an unrealistic mound of shavings that it can overload and plug up the filters. There is one other way that the filters can get plugged up, and that is if I'm working hard and the dustbin full light goes on and I don't see it or don't deal with it and the machine runs till it automatically shuts off. That doesn't mean the filters are plugged, but that's happened a couple times, and when it does, I run the self-cleaning filter cycle just to make sure everything's clean and it's breathing well so it can run like it's supposed to. So the takeaway from my experience with dust collection in general and the Harvey Industries Gyro Air G700 in particular is no regrets. Even at normal pricing, it's the best, most practical and most functional value I could find for my shop size, project demands, and personal requirement that my equipment needs to be able to work as long and as hard as I do. And I don't own any Festool stuff. I kind of think of it as Fustool for its fussy design and engineering. But from what I know of their impeccable engineering and performance, the G700 is the Festool of dust collectors, but it comes in a different color. So for more information and a closer look at the G700, check out a link to the unboxing video I did last fall when I got this machine by following the link in the description to my website, nextlevelcarpentry.shop, and just scroll down to the Gyro Air section on the home page. If a super quiet and highly efficient dust collection system interests you, you'll be glad to know that Harvey Industries is releasing the G800 and the G1000 models with special promotional pricing for both. They've also included reduced pricing for the 2019 G700 model in the same promotion, although the 2019 model is already on the market. I want to explain that Gyro Air technology and these machines were specifically designed for processing dust from industrial manufacturing. Woodworking wasn't the primary focus of 6 years of research and engineering that went into the development of this machine, which is a big part of the reason that the Gyro Air machines look so different from the typical cyclone type dust collectors that are out on the market. Since Next Level Carpentry is a brand ambassador for Harvey Industries and Gyro Air machines, you can take advantage of introductory pricing for all three models by going to the nextlevelcarpentry.shop website that I've been talking about and hitting the Buy It Now button. This is a 2018 model, but the 2019 Gyro Air G700 is normally priced at $42.50 plus $150 for shipping anywhere in the continental US. But with this promotional offer in May, it's available through the end of the month at just $3,820. And if you buy one through my website, I'll split the $150 shipping with you at $75 a piece. The big brothers, the G800 and the G1000, have commercial level capabilities, features, and pricing that far exceed requirements of most one-man woodworking shops. But they're pretty amazing machines. And I'd be more than happy to provide more information and share the promotional pricing to anyone who's interested. Just contact me through the Next Level Carpentry website. I realize that these aren't the machines for everyone, everywhere. But for those of us with similar demands, I really believe that the quietest dust collector in the world is the best. And to wrap up, I want to thank you for watching videos here at Next Level Carpentry. I hope you'll consider subscribing if you haven't already. It's free, and of course subscribers are always the first to know when new content is uploaded. As this channel grows, I really want to thank everyone for their support. Someone recently bought a new DeWalt DW735 thickness planer from the Next Level Carpentry Influencers page at Amazon. The process isn't personalized or transparent, but I wanted to thank you personally, whoever you are. You know that you got the same low online price from Amazon, and they pay out an ad fee, which helps support video production here at Next Level Carpentry. And I really appreciate it. And I also want to thank the growing number of you who've gone above and beyond and become patrons through Patreon to help support this channel on a monthly basis. When I first started Next Level Carpentry a few years ago, I assumed that ad revenue from YouTube would sustain it. But as YouTube continues to grow and change their policies, content developers like myself have to broaden their base of revenue streams to build a viable video production business on the platform. It kind of pushes me into uncomfortable territory, but as long as viewers like you find value here on this channel, I pledge to keep producing videos to share stuff that I've learned during almost the whole lifetime of making a living, doing exactly the sort of things that you see and hear me doing and talking about here on Next Level Carpentry. So for now, until another time, thanks for watching.